Hello again. I am actually on page 37, exercise sentence 27A and B. Actually, I was suddenly interrupted by the system, by my cell phone. What is the difference between 27A and B? We want to have to see whether a longer movement in 27A or a shorter movement is preferable. Let us see. Well, 27 says, it seems the manager is likely to fire Beckham. Okay? As you look at this sentence, the embedded sentence to fire Beckham has got the manager as the subject, and it moves to the sentence which is likely, okay, and it is the subject of that sentence, okay. So we can say it seems the manager is likely to fire Beckham, but originally it was something like this. It seems it is likely the manager will fire Beckham, will fire Beckham. Okay, so we move the manager, as you see in 27A, to the beginning of this. In fact, the sentence with is likely. Okay, it is okay. It is a short movement. It is okay. Okay. Now let us see. Can we have a long movement? Again, suppose that the manager will fire Beckham is there in 27, where the manager is at the beginning of to fire Beckham in 27B. Now, I want to move the subject, the manager, to the beginning of the sentence. Okay? Say, as you see, it seems impossible. I can have one movement, but not two movements at the same time. One movement is possible, but not a big movement. One movement to the position of it is likely, the other to the position of it seems. So, what is the difference between 27A and 27B? 27A, there is a short movement and it is good. 27B, there's a long movement and it is bad. Okay? So we want to say short move. We actually see that when there is something like movement, the movement must be short, not long. Okay? Let us go to page 38. Well, in page 38, we have 28 as the example. We want to say again, smaller movement is better than bigger movement. Shorter movement is better than longer movement. Okay, let us see. In sentence 28, we have something like, who did the manager fire? Who did the manager fire? Well, originally, who is the object of the sentence in 28? So, the manager fired somebody. I don't know who this somebody is. This somebody changes to who, and in English, it has to move to the beginning of the sentence. So, the managers fired somebody, the manager fired somebody, is changed to who did the manager fire. Again, there is movement. The movement of WH. In the previous example, there was the movement of the subject, the manager, to the beginning of the sentence. Here, we have the movement of WH element, who, okay, WH, who. Okay, it actually moves to the beginning of the sentence. Okay, now I want to see shorter movement or longer movement. If it is longer movement, it is not good. Shorter movement, it is good. Let us see. In 28, there's a line movement. You can see two movements. Okay, there are two arrows there. 1, 2. Okay, like this. Look at my finger. 1, 2. Okay, now 29 says David asked who the manager fired, and the sentence is good. So who here was originally at the end of the sentence. Look at the end of the sentence. You see there's a, in fact, hyphen there. The hyphen here means that there was a kind of movement of who to the beginning of the sentence, to the beginning of the clause here. Okay. Now, can I have two movements? No, I cannot have two movements. So, I cannot say that, well, David first moves to, in fact, well, actually, who moves to the beginning of the manager, and again it moves to the beginning of the sentence. Okay, there are two movements. Maybe I can show it with my own handwriting on the book so that you can see example 29. There are two movements. In A, there is one movement. In 20B, there are two movements. I will show it in the form of my handwriting. So we want to say 29A with one movement, it is okay. 29, there is a big movement. One big movement. One movement to the beginning of the first clause, then to the other clause. Okay? So it first moves to the embedded clause subject position, and then it goes to the whole sentence subject position. This is bad. Okay? So we say that, well, when there is something like movement in languages, movements must be local. Movements must be local. Like what? Movement of, let's say, manager to the beginning of the sentences in on page 37. And example 2, movements of who to the beginning of the sentences or clauses. Well, shorter movement is good. A very long movement with two heaps, with two heaps, it's impossible. Okay, to two leaps, leaps, with two leaps. Okay, suppose there's something like a brook, a spring of water going from one part to the other. Okay, when we want to move from one part of the spring to the other, when you want to actually move from one side of the river to the other, if the river is short enough, small enough, you can cross it. But what happens if there's a line movement? You actually, when you jump over the other side of the river, you actually go inside the river instead. This is what happened in 29. So 29 is ungrammatical only and only because there is a very big movement for the sentence. A very big movement. We call it that. If there is something like a movement, the movement must be local. Okay? Thank you very much.